are back! Home of the prodigal son, young Chad Townsend. And Chad Townsend plays on, plays to the whistle, kicks away for Valentine home. Townsend, brilliant.
All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Chad Townsend Show. If you're new here, please make sure you do subscribe. It is greatly appreciated. If you listen over on the audio platforms, give us a rate and review. We really do appreciate. And obviously here on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of content coming and a lot of plans coming into the future, which we will share with you guys as these weeks sort of roll on. But let's have a quick look at what we've got on today's show. We've got what's trending in the NRL, obviously some games, the Pacific Championships over the weekend. We'll have a look at those games. November 1, fast approaching as well. Obviously some big names still unsigned for 27, so hit free agency, and that's going to be interesting chat. And then we've got the Ashes, so the Kiwis versus England over there in a 3-match series in England. Obviously, the boys over there now, so pretty keen to have a quick look at that. And obviously, their team, I'm sure, will get announced tomorrow, Team List Tuesday. So the predicted lineup, which I think they will go with. So before we get into that, we'll bring in Victor. How was your weekend, brother?
Good, mate. We had the Players Club Championships on Friday. That was the
rounding success.
The main event of the weekend. It was a rounding success.
Yeah.
You want to tell the people how you went?
Yeah, I'll tell the people. Before I do that, I'll say thanks to Victor for helping us out organising the day. You did do a great job in getting it all sorted, mate. So really appreciate your help.
Yeah,
but how I play, well,
thing.
You're very stressful.
Event management.
Fair bit of admin, event management, making sure everything runs smoothly on time, organising this and that. But I actually had a day out, to be honest. I mean, are you able to win your own golf competition? Well, I nearly did. I hit 37 points, played off 8, so I hit 7 over off the stick. I was 2 over on the front and 5 over on the back, but I doubled the 18th, so I would have been 3 over. I was 3 over off the stick up until I hit.
You doubled the 18th, 5 over.
5 over off the stick until I hit the 18. So actually, no birdies, just pars. I had like 12 pars. I just parred everything. And there was heaps of par 4, so I was just like either driver or I hit 5-iron a couple of times off the tee, ball back of the stance, low and compressed, and just smoked a couple of 5-irons. But we had a great day. I played with Val, Drinky, and Scope. Justin Horror played in our group 2. We had about 72 golfers turn up. We had some amazing sponsors, so I guess we need to say thank you to everyone who showed support.
Yep, thanks to the sponsors.
Big thanks to our sponsors. Our content's all over on the Players Golf Club page, plus the results of everyone. And we ran through we had a GA competition and we had a non-GA competition. So we didn't split it with like A grade, B grade, C grade. We just thought we'd just do it, chuck everyone into the one in tournament. So we've got some content that'll roll out, but all in all, a magnificent day out, Victor.
I need to ask you this because after the golf event, we were talking about the goats of music.
Yes.
Right?
We were.
We were talking about the goats of music, and you threw a name in that I've never heard before, Limp Bizkit.
So you've never heard of Limp Bizkit?
Never heard Limp Bizkit. And then...
Are you actually all right?
Nah, who the hell the fuck? Limp Bizkit.
You've never heard of Limp Bizkit?
Never heard of Limp Bizkit.
So after the golf tournament, let me just tell you a quick story. After the tournament, we're having a few beers, and anyway, we're playing music, and Croppy, one of my good mates, is there, and we're talking about who's the GOAT of music, and because bloody Val is playing bloody Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber.
He loves that new album, eh?
Loves it. And then anyway, Croppy wants to put on, he's like, have you heard of Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit? Put some Limp Bizkit on. And I was like, yeah, like put that on. And then you've never heard of
Val never heard of him either.
Yeah. This is an absolute G-up.
It's the Unks.
What generation are you from?
It's the Unks. Oh,
never heard of Limp Bizkit or Fred Durst. Red
then,
cap, backwards. Mate, I never went to any of the big day outs, but back in, you would have been like a baby.
Yeah, no, big day, it wasn't my time.
Anyway, we had a great day, and a lot of fun, and obviously when you play well and the vibes are higher, so
yeah, it was
it was a good day. Mate, let's move into what do we got first off the bat? What are we looking at straight away?
Kiwis win over Samoa 24-18.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Did you watch this game?
Yep, I did watch this game, 24-18, at Go Media Stadium in Auckland, the first game of the Pacific Championships over the weekend. In like the main tier, obviously the second tier, they have their own tournament, but obviously this game was very interested. I was kind of very keen to see how both of these sides would go and how it would play out. Obviously Samoa, with Payne Haas pledging his allegiance to Samoa now, obviously very, very interested to see how he played. He absolutely killed it. He ran for 184 meters. It's like every time he got the ball, he was just like hard and direct, ran extremely hard. He was breaking tackles. I thought he was really, really solid. But anyway, this game kind of played out. It was very, very close. Came down on a couple of big moments. But I thought the Kiwis, well, they made the most of their moments. And I thought Casey McLean, he was outstanding, the youngster from Penrith. Something seems to happen when Casey McLean puts on a black jersey. He scored 4 tries in a game last year against Papua New Guinea at Combank Stadium. He scored 2 tries last night. He ended up running for 125 metres, 7 tackle breaks, and the 2 tries he scored were outstanding. 2 big, 2 strong. One of them he ran straight through RTS and Junior Barlaw, like just, no powerful. Like they're obviously big boys. I mean, Roger's a fullback, but he's still very, very big and strong. So he was outstanding. And then for Samoa, there was a couple of other really impressive performances. Obviously, as I mentioned, Payne Haas and his game. I thought Dean Mariner, he had a indifferent game. The try he scored was outstanding. His footwork was absolutely electric. But it probably came down to 2 pretty big moments for Dean Mariner when the first one, Samoa, Luai got pressured. He came back off the left foot and then put a grubber through. And then Talangi came through the middle, got the ball, went to drill and pass the fullback and hit Mariner's chest. And the line's probably wide open for him to score. That was massive in the scheme of the game. That changed the game dramatically. And then after that, there was another opportunity where Samoa ran it on last play down their left edge. Luai went square into the line. Roger then hit Mariner, and Mariner, the pass to To'o just wasn't where it needed to be. Didn't give Brian To'o a chance. It was too high. It was a poor pass. To'o catches that on the chest right here in front of him. He probably goes over and finishes and executes that try. So it's tough because I really like what Dean Mariner's done on the field, but I just thought he's probably really disappointed with those 2 big moments. And Samoa, ultimately, like, had they have executed those 2 plays, they probably win the game. For the Kiwis, well, Newcastle's $13 million man, 10-year deal, Dylan Brown, he was outstanding. If you are a Knights fan and you watch yesterday's game and you watch Dylan Brown, well, you should be very, very optimistic about what Dylan Brown you guys are getting for the next 10 seasons, because the thing I hear about Dylan Brown is apparently he's already touched base with some of the Knights players, some of their Knights senior players. And I don't know how true this is, but I've heard he's already done a training session with like Ponga and Phoenix Crossland and some of their big guys. So that is really, really good signs for Dylan Brown. I thought he was outstanding last night. The try he scored was great. It was excellent. His stats, there somewhere, Victor, if you can just find them for me. He was outstanding. The try he scored, I know some people are saying he was short on the try line and whatever, but I thought he was absolutely great. He ended up, he ran for 152 meters, which was outstanding for a 5'8". He had 4 tackle breaks, 2 try assists, 1 line break assist as well for Dylan Brown. So that's the Dylan Brown, that's the Dylan Brown, the version that I think the Knights expect to see. You pay a guy, you give a guy a long-term deal, he's fired up, he wants to jump in and have a go. And I think Dylan Brown, respectfully, I don't think he was able to do that this year at Parramatta. Obviously, he signed that deal earlier on in the year and they left him out of the team and whatever, but now he's got a fresh start and I think he's going to absolutely kill it. So, and the thing as well with Dylan Brown is when you watch the game as closely as, like I watched the game very closely from a different point of view to, someone like yourself, Victor, right? As a fan, and you still love the game, but obviously, whenever there's a half break or a line break from the opposition, Dylan Brown, he's always there in the picture to either make a cover tackle or chase back to stop a try. And you call it in the picture. So if someone makes a line break, usually the TV angle then goes to like a wider shot. So once it goes to the wider shot, or if there is a tighter shot, you call it in the picture. So Dylan Brown comes into the vision of the TV, where if you're watching the game and something happens, like keep an eye out for that next time there's a line break or whoever's there, because I guarantee you he will be there. And I thought he was great. Joe Tarpanay, he ended up running for 152 meters as well. He was great. But all in all, like I said, Ata Mariota, I thought, just want to, hopefully wish that he's okay. Obviously that hit, he just got his head wrong in the wrong position. That didn't look too good. Obviously, he had to get taken off. The Jaden Sewer hit on Papali'i was outstanding. Far out, two big men, big contact, and that really sort of got Samoa kind of back in the game at the back end of that second half. Both teams' completion rates, the Kiwis had 79%, Samoa had 77%. Possession was 51-41. Time in possession, 31-30. So, look, the stats were all very, very even. Like, this was a very good game to watch. And like I said, it came down to one or two moments. And
a bit of execution, from Samoa.
Execution. That's all it was. And in these, big games in the Pacific Championships or in the NRL or whatever it may be, like it is one moment. It is one moment that can change absolutely everything. So, it was a good game to watch though. Big crowds, blue Samoan flags everywhere. And I don't know what it is, right? Because, you see like Tonga and their fans and their sea of red, which I love to see, but then like, I don't know, is it like, and Kiwis, please like let me know this, but like, is it a cool thing for like people in New Zealand to like not go for the Kiwis, to like go for Samoa and Tonga? Because it just seems like when the Pac champs come or Samoa and Tonga are playing, fans in New Zealand want to support Samoa and Tonga and not New Zealand. I don't know. Like, do you feel that?
It's awesome chat.
Hey?
It did seem like there was a massive Samoa following out there in a New Zealand home game.
But it's the same. It is the same with when Tonga play as well.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like the Kiwis, like they don't get as much support, and I'm interested to know why, or if it's an actual thing, or I'm not. Yeah, maybe off the mark.
Let's ask it to the public.
So maybe cut that up as a clip, because I would love to sort of see what that's like.
I want to ask you about Casey McLean. This kid's 19 years old.
Yeah,
19 years old. And he's kept like Paul Alamotti out of the Panthers side for the whole season.
Yeah.
And a lot of questions were around that. What have you seen from him kind of throughout this season? And do you see him as like probably a top 3 center?
Yeah, look, let's not forget, like, this kid is still very, very young. And I think this season his form probably went along with how the Panthers' season went as well. Like, the Panthers didn't start great. Their edges were very poor defensively, making wrong decisions, defensively leaking a lot of points, lacking a little bit of confidence. And I think Casey probably was similar to that. But then as their season went on, and obviously they started to win games, they had guys who were, getting better. He probably was able to find some form and contribute at a higher level. Like, some of his games at the end of the year were absolutely outstanding. So look, you kind of want to remember that this kid is 19. He's got a long, long future ahead of him, and he's quite a big boy as well, a very big boy. So I think it's going to be interesting for everyone to keep an eye out, with him and his future. And I'm not sure of his contract situation, but I dare say that he's going to get paid probably double what he's on now. He's obviously, when they're young, or when you're young, usually you come into the NRL and you're on a lower contract, but then once you start to play, you obviously get, paid more money.
Yeah. His contract ends at the 28.
Oh, right. Geez, so he's got
19 now. He'll be like 22 when his next contract comes in or something.
Yeah. So
yeah.
You know what he may have done? He may have sold himself short a little bit there, because I don't know when he signed this contract, but it would have been when he'd only play a handful of NRL games, or maybe before he had an NRL game. But obviously, you get the long-term, extension, the long-term security. You take that. But let's just say if he was off contract like next year, his contract value is going up, and he will get paid. It's more just like it might take. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit more, couple more years to get paid. But obviously, keeping in mind with the new CBA, the new salary cap, obviously new teams coming in as well, like you just think that his contract value will double, even triple for Casey McLean.
Is that something you've seen change throughout your career, like the way contracts are kind of structured?
For sure, definitely. Well, one thing is like the salary cap. When I was very young, when I first came into the game, it was like the top contracts, the very, very top guys were on like 500. $500,000, $500,000 contracts. So like, if you were on a $500,000 contract, like it was insane. But then like that's back when like house prices, like the average house price was probably 500 then, or maybe just over 510. Like a big house was like $1 million, back then. Where like obviously cost of living has gone up, players getting paid's gone up. But then obviously house prices have gone up as well. So, if you had a $500K contract, you could still go and buy, I'm talking like 15, 16 years ago, you could still go and buy a big mansion house, if you want to call it that. But then obviously everything sort of comes up. So it's kind of relative to, I guess, where it is. But, it's only going to be a matter of time in a couple of years before the first player potentially gets $1.5 to $2 million a season in the NRL, maybe in the next CBA. I think. But yeah, it's definitely changed. And for the better, obviously with more money coming in the game, more viewership, more media, more advertising, more fans, more members, everything around that. So look, I think a great result for the Kiwis. I actually thought the Kiwis were going to win this game. Obviously, it was their home game. We did sort of see the amount of support that Samoa had. They now play Tonga in Brisbane at Suncorp Stadium this weekend, which is Sunday, 4:00. Look, I said it earlier. I may have said this on Triple M, but I'm still perplexed as to why the final of this Pac Champs is in Australia. It's at CommBank. I don't know why it's not in Eden Park, New Zealand. Like, I don't know. Who organised that? Give yourself an uppercut. In other results, obviously there was the I guess you'd call it maybe the B grade Pac Champs, second division.
Reserve Pac Champs.
Reserve grade Pac Champs over the weekend, the third tier, whatever it is. But the PNG Kumals played, the Fiji Batai played the Cook Islands, and Fiji won 44-24. And Jareen Buller, he scored 4 tries in this game. The electric dynamic fullback from the West Tigers scored 3 of them in the first 12 minutes. So a huge game from Dream Buller and a big result for the Fiji Batai. And obviously Cook Islands as well, who are coached by Carmichael Hunt. KL Oro scored a nice try, a bit of individual brilliance as well. So obviously you may have heard the news, you may not have. Valentine Holmes has pledged his allegiance to the Cook Islands for next year's World Cup. So honouring his heritage, and wants to jump in and help out the Cook Islands and his heritage, and I think he's going to jump in and help the boys a little bit this season. So yeah, good to see. I mean, he's played over 20 test matches for the Kiwis, over 20 origins. That experience will be obviously not playing at the moment because he injured his shoulder this year, but playing for the World Cup next year for the Cook Islands. So yeah, Fiji win over Cook Islands. Obviously, PNG is in that as well. And yeah, we'll keep an eye on that as well. Let's go. What are we moving into next, Victor?
The Aussie team for the Ashes. What are your predictions? Who do you think the starting 17 are going to be? Want to hear your thoughts on kind of the team and your pre-predictions for this whole series.
Yeah, so obviously massive series. The Ashes is back. It's the first time for about 20 years, I think it is. 2003, I think it was the last time Australia played England in an Ashes series. Look, this is awesome. You see some of the old videos and hear some of the old stories from a lot of the old boys about their tours to England, and obviously they're over there for a long time and a couple of weeks, and able to really just obviously play footy, but have a good time as well. And obviously the Australian squad, which has been taken over as well, which are obviously some surprise selections and whatnot. But anyway, their first game is coming up very, very soon. And it's actually this weekend, to be honest.
Yep. 25th.
25th. What time's kickoff? Because I'm assuming it's probably like 12:30, in the morning or something. Yep. There it is, 12:30 a.m. So, to be honest, I'm probably not staying up and watching it. I'll wake up first thing in the morning and I'll watch it then. Like I haven't, but I won't check my phone. I'll watch it. I want to watch it and see how it all hear how it goes. So,
Hey,
what do you do?
I don't know, like, why they couldn't just schedule it to be semi-okay
for here
as well.
Well, I don't care. Anyway, the game is at Wembley, so I mean, the game at Wembley. So yeah, what an amazing atmosphere. But anyway, let's get into my predicted team for the Kangaroos team. Let's have a look. Let's chuck it up. Look, my fullback. I had to go with the hot hand, Reece Walsh. Obviously, you got Dylan Edwards in the team, who's the incumbent fullback for the Kiwis. But to me, I mean, I just think Kevin Walters goes with Reece Walsh, and obviously he was kind of quoted last week to saying, there will be no bias with the team selections, and obviously 100% definitely believe in Kevy there. But look, to me, I just think you go with the hot hand. Reece Walsh's last 2 months of football for the Broncos, obviously winning the Clive Churchill medal and winning the grand final for the Broncos. He deserves his selection. He's got absolutely everything in his game, and I think he will be the fullback for the Kangaroos. On the wings, I've gone with Josh Adokar and Mark Nawangani-Tawase. Look, I'm very, very happy that the selectors, Kevy, went with Mark. Obviously, Mark had made the decision that 2026 is going to be his last year in rugby league for, the short-term future. He wants to go back and play in the Rugby World Cup, and then hasn't ruled out a return back to league after that. So obviously, we want to pick the best players and we want Australia to win. So I think Mark has shown that with his season and what he was able to put on the tape this year for the Roosters, he deserves to be there. Obviously, keep an eye out for him as a threat in the air. I think Cleary and Munster will have a field day every time they get an opportunity. I think they will go higher to Mark on the wings. And Josh Adokar gets his redemption, obviously back in the Kangaroos fold. Obviously with the Zach Lomax pulling out of the team, obviously opened up that window for Josh Adokar, who's obviously had his I guess whatever you want to call over the last 12 months, obviously left the Bulldogs, found a home at Parramatta, had a great season at Paris, scored a stack of tries. He's back in the team. I've got him on the wings as well. Obviously in the halves, where they pretty much tend to pick themselves, Cameron Munster and Nathan Cleary. In the front row, I've gone Pat Carrigan and Tino Fa'asula Malaawi and hooker Harry Grant. In the back rows, Hudson Young and Angus Crichton, and at lock, Isaiah Yeo. And then on the bench, well, how can you not go with Tommy Dearden and the season that he's had for the Cowboys in Queensland? He's going to be the 14. Obviously, we'll be able to cover halves and probably play a little bit of hooker, may even to throw him in there in the middle. You've got Lindsay Collins, Roosters front rower, Ruben Cotter, and Keon Koloamatangi. Comes into the team at number 17. Obviously played a stack of games for Tonga. Pledged his allegiance to Australia this year. Well done to Keon. I think he's had a great season. And since he's kind of moved to the front row, I've been really impressed. I really like him as a front row. I think that's the key for Souths and Wayne Bennett, to keep this guy in the front row with what he has to offer. I've got him in number 17. So obviously the squad goes a little bit deep. Obviously, there still will be some guys who miss out of selection, but obviously this is only a 3-game series. So if Australia win, and they don't have injuries, there may be guys on tour who may not get a game. Missing out, we've got Blake Brayley, Dylan Edwards, Bradman Best, Mitchell Moses, Jacob Preston, Lindsay Smith, and obviously young Ethan Strange is in that squad as well. So he can cover multiple positions. Obviously, you've got a couple of outside backs there, Bradman Best, Dylan Edwards as well, Mitch Moses covering the halves. Ethan Strange can play in the centres if need be. So, look, a really, really strong team for Australia. Look, I'm really excited to see how this team gels and how they play. Obviously, you see some of the content coming out of England and what they've been up to, and it looks bloody awesome. So they play England. We'll have a quick look at their squad and the team or the squad that they've assembled. John Bateman, AJ Brimson pledges his allegiance to England.
How do you feel about that one?
Traitor. He's a traitor. Nah, joking. Nah, Gina. I think it was his grandmother or mother, English heritage. So obviously he's played for Queensland, but respectfully probably wasn't going to get a game for the Kangaroos. So I like AJ Brimson. Man, this guy's got a subtle, really nice left foot kick, short on the short kicking game. He's got dynamic footwork. He has a stack of line breaks. I'm interested to sort of see where they put him with regards to position, because obviously there's a couple of other guys in this team who you hear about. I haven't seen too much of these guys. Obviously, most of them are Super League players, but you hear obviously some good things. So we'll start again. John Bateman, AJ Brimson, Joe Burgess, Darryl Clark, Herbie Farnworth. Obviously, he's going to be a massive addition for the English team. He will be coming up against, either Stags, his old teammate, or Gamet. So Ethan Harvard, Tom Johnston, Morgan Knowles, Matty Lees, Mikey Lewis, the half from Hull KR, who just won the treble. He's been in some good form. Jez Litton, Mike McKeon, Harry Newman, Mikolaj Olajiski, Kai Pearce-Paul, the Newcastle Knights back row, who's now moving to the West Tigers. Harry Smith, Morgan Smithies, Owen Trout, Alex Wormsley, Jake Wardle, Callum Watkins, Jack Wellesby, George Williams, and Dom Young. So obviously some names we kind of know, some names we don't know too much information about. Obviously, I think one thing with England is they're always a very well-connected team. They love getting on. They love having a few schooners together, from my understanding, over the course of the history. So I feel like they're a very well-connected team. Obviously, some big names there. George Williams is going to be at the forefront of their attack and everything they do. Obviously, he has a stack of NRL experience as well. Dom Young as well. He's obviously playing over here in the NRL at the moment. But then obviously, some other guys like John Bateman, Alex Wormsley, the front rower. These guys will, have to take it upon themselves to sort of set the tone with the physicality going up against the Australian team, because you look at that Australian team, like these are the best this is the 17 best rugby league players on the planet, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So you put them all together, like they're going to be bloody hard to beat.
How do you think about the Billy Smith omission?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bit. Obviously, Billy Smith pledged his allegiance to England earlier this season. I thought it was, a little bit hard done by. I thought he had a great season for the Roosters, but obviously Sean Wayne and their selection panel, and whatever, decided to go in a different direction. Look, I think Billy plays for England at some stage. Obviously the World Cup's next year. I think it's a good opportunity for him to, have some form of representative football there for him to play for. He puts another good season on the field next year for the Roosters like he did this year. He'll be in contention next year for their World Cup squad. The squads for the World Cup are a little bit bigger because there's a couple more games. So you play games in the World Cup where, you play against much lower ranked teams. So you sometimes you play guys in the other end of your squad. So yeah, I thought it was a big call, a tough call, but look, I think Billy's going to be back. He'll be in there at some stage. So look, for this game, it's always interesting to me to see who referees this game and how it's refereed. And I'm not sure if the referees have been announced yet, but who is refereeing this game? Are they a Super League ref? Are they an English ref? Because there obviously are a couple of little subtle differences in the game. Obviously with the recent rules, things like, the roll ball. If you watch the roll ball in England, like England is just, it's literally just roll it under your foot. You don't even need to make any effort. So all the English players will be doing that just from habit. Obviously, the things like blockers and the stuff we've seen in the NRL over the past 12 to 24 months, with the blockers, roll ball, kick pressure, the escorts, all that stuff that's kind of, there's a slight little bit of, I guess, I wouldn't say grey, but the changes that have come in effect. So that's always an interesting one. And obviously the crowd as well, the hostile crowd, obviously, you see from Super League games, some of these environments that they play in, and like the cheers that they have, obviously they get that from English Premier League soccer, like how that sort of happens. So yeah, I think that's going to play a part. Like I think the crowd, the environment, the referee, and obviously the start of these games will be big factors in how this game is kind of played out.
Just going back to the refereeing real quick, how do these games normally get reffed? When it's like, is the refereeing, for people at home, is the refereeing different between the Super League and the NRL?
100% it's different. Yeah, for sure. I just think the refereeing in the NRL is very much, it's reffed on the media perspective at the moment. And if things, I don't know, if there's things out there in the media that like are criticising the referee, or there's been too much penalties or whatever it is, like the referee's then reffed in accordance with that.
Yep.
So, and obviously we see usually just before Magic Round, we kind of see the NRL come out stupidly and say, oh, by the way, we're cracking down on this, you know what I mean? So they crack down on that for like a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it just goes back into something else where they don't referee or look at it as closely, and then they have a crackdown, they go away from it, then we get back down to the final series, everything goes out the window, just let the boys play. Origin gets ref differently, like it's rinse and repeat. You watch it. Like it is frustrating. Like, and that's what I think most fans, and I hear some people say, I actually heard some people say this year, I don't watch the games anymore because of how some of them are reffed and some of the rules and stuff that are being policed. So I think that's the biggest improvement for the NRL, and it's not the referee's fault, it's the NRL, because they're the ones who tell the referees what to do. The referees are just kind of middlemen, literally middlemen in the middle.
How does that affect you as a player throughout the season?
Oh, like you get used to it, but it is frustrating. But, you kind of, there might be a time where certain things are being, the NRL can send a directive, a private directive to all clubs and coaches, and just say, hey, we're focusing on this week. Just let your players know. So then the coach comes in and he's like, boys, the NRL's doing this at the moment. And then there might be a leak. Like that might get out to the media. Then the media sort of, run along with it. So it can be frustrating at times, but you kind of, what do? You just have to go with it, Let's have a look at some of the stats in some of these series. Australia versus Great Britain. They've played all up. They've played 39 games, 19 series in Australia. 39 series, 19 series in Australia, 20 series in Great Britain. Australia have won 20 of those 39, and Great Britain have won 19. So very, very even, these two teams in the course of the history. They've played 118 games all up. Australia have won 59 and Great Britain have won 54. Test matches in Australia, 57 played. Australia have won 28. Great Britain have won 27. Test matches in Great Britain, 61 games played. Australia have won 31. Great Britain have won 27. So look, these stats are very, very even. You know what I mean? This is not all been Australia's way. Like, obviously we know the Super League and, NRL is the best competition in the world. Super League's obviously, the second best competition in the world. So, look, I don't think Australia's going to have it all their way in this 3-game series. I do think it's going to be a tight tussle, but I think Australia win the series. It might be like 2-1. If it's 3-0, that's pretty crazy, but I think England win one of the games. What do you think?
No.
You savage.
No, I'm
you
sorry. Just
savage.
looking at this Australian squad, it's just, I don't know. happy to be proven wrong, but I think Australia just clears. This squad is just too good.
So you're going 3-0.
I'm going 3-0. Clean sweep. Bring the broom out. Should have been for State of Origin, but wasn't. And hopefully Australia can do it.
You are an absolute savage. I like that from you. Yeah. All right. Well, Victor's going 3-0. I'll go 2-1.
We'll see.
And let's go Australia to win the first game. Let's go Australia win 30 to 10. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Just give me a score prediction just to be fun. Just have a bit of fun.
24-6.
Okay. 24-6. All right.
That's like one try less.
Yeah. But that's all good. Anyway, we'll move on from the preview and what do we got next?
November 1, couple players to test the open market. First up, North Queensland will face a battle to keep young star Jaxon Purdue in Townsville.
Yeah. So obviously, last week we spoke about a couple of players set to test the market on November 1, and Jacko's just had a little bit of media coverage to say that he's going to test the open market on November 1, and fans kind of tend to just think, oh, he's testing the open market. You know what I mean? You kind of just give him, they kind of think about it negatively. But it's like just because he's testing the open market doesn't mean he's going to sign elsewhere. I mean, I think someone like Jaxon Purdue, it would take an absolute offer just out of the ballpark to get him to move from Townsville. Obviously, he's a North Queensland kid. He loves the Cowboys. He's a Cowboys fan. But testing the open market allows to kind of see what else is out there and what offers are there, the interest, maybe the positions that other teams would see him to play with the future. So I think it's a great thing. Like I think he stays with the Cowboys. But his agent was quoted in saying, this talk about November 1 is magnified. It doesn't mean he's leaving. I'm sure the Cowboys will show enough interest to ensure he stays there. And I think that's the case for sure. Look, I think they would have been working hard in the background at the moment to try and get him signed before November 1, because obviously you get to November 1, you can speak to other clubs. Obviously, then the Cows, or the current team run that risk of him potentially signing elsewhere because he can go and speak to them. So, look, it's a big call because he's one of their best young players in their squad, and obviously played majority of the season at centre this year. Was then moved to 5'8" in the halves. That experiment probably didn't work, and we did have a quick chat about it last week. Where Zero Tackle kind of called it the biggest mistake of the 2025 season, which was a crazy sort of statement. But look, I would at the time, and I've said this, I was really interested to see how Jacko would go in the halves, being a half growing up. But obviously that didn't kind of work out, and Cliffo had played much better there and came back in and owned that sort of jersey. So. Look, Jacko is the future of the Cowboys, and I will be interested to sort of see how that kind of plays out. Who we got next?
Warriors halfback Luke Metcalf. Does he stay or does he go?
Yeah. Look, this is almost probably one of the most notable players to sort of get to November 1. And Luke Metcalf, does he stay in New Zealand or does he go? Like, this is massive for the Warriors. And I've got no doubt that Luke Metcalf and the Warriors, would have been in a lot of dialogue over the past couple of months to try and get him to sort of stay. And the offer there, I mean, the current deal is his current deal is worth around $550,000. Metcalf could double his pay on the open market or drive up his value for his next contract if he stays at the Warriors. In my opinion, his price went up this year from not playing, and that happens sometimes. But we obviously saw what happened when Metcalf went down injured, Barnett went out injured. The Warriors were sitting inside the top 4 for all season, and then their form wasn't as consistent with those two players out of the team. And it just goes to show, I guess, how much he meant to that team. And I have no doubt that the Warriors will be doing everything they can to keep Luke Metcalf, and so they should be. Luke Metcalf is, in my opinion, a top 5 halfback in the competition. with some of the form he was producing at the start of the year. So obviously, Perth Bears, St. George Illawarra Dragons, there are some teams who are out there who will be halfback needy after next season. And this kid who's coming into the prime of his career is, in my opinion, going to be red hot over the next couple of years. We saw some of his form, and I just think that he'll be on a pretty big wicket and in command of whichever team he plays for. But obviously the Warriors, they gave him an opportunity to go over there and sort of play with Sean and then take over from Sean. And I think he's the guy that's, kind of made Warriors fans, forget about Sean a little bit. And that's a tough thing to do, because obviously always, how good Sean was for so long, and he's one of the best players to ever play. But to have Luke Metcalf there for guys to be able to, cheer on and play well. And, the thing I love about Lukey Met is just the sellies. The sellies, and this one's my favourite one. Yeah. That's my favourite one, man. So I got a lot of love for Luke Metcalf. I think he's a great player. He's going to get paid, and this is a big call for him. This is a massive call for him, and it's about whether he wants to stay loyal to the Warriors. He wants to get as much money as he can. He wants to win a comp. These are all the things you kind of have to think of when you're off contract. It's like, hey, why and what do I actually want out of my next contract? Because they're massive decisions. And I always say in life, in the scheme of things, like it is an absolute privilege to make tough decisions. If you have easy decisions to make your whole life, that sucks. No offense. If you have one offer or you have one decision to make, one thing to choose from, that's not what it should be. You want to have tough decisions to make. So we'll see what happens there with Lukey Metcalf. All right, let's move on. What do we got? Fan questions. Let's go. We got a couple today.
We got a few.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you believe that the NRL will make a stadium in PNG?
I don't think they will, because the PNG government just finished one maybe like 7 or 8 years ago, the main one in Port Moresby. So, it is great. It's a great stadium. It's got all the facilities it needs. But yeah, I'm not sure of the capacity, but that was the stadium that we saw last weekend where the Prime Minister's game was held. So it was, I've played there a couple of years ago when I played the Prime Minister's game. It is fine. The facilities are great. The sheds are great. It's all air conditioned inside as well. The field's in good nick. So I do think, seeing some of the, actually, while we're on the topic of PNG, we did see some of the videos and some of the options for accommodation come out during the week from a couple of journalists who went over there, and they actually looked pretty good, to be honest. They were like sort of apartment style accommodation, which has already sort of been there, but it was more so there was like big pools, tennis courts, playgrounds, but it was like a big, when you go on holidays and there's like holiday apartments and stuff like that. So that's, from my understanding, what it looks like that the players could be living in. Some of the photos coming out of it were actually fine. It was like, it was actually
pretty nice.
It was actually pretty nice. You know what I mean? Like,
they're talking about 5-star accommodation,
yeah,
resort style.
Yeah, it would be resort style. Like you'd be living in like a resort.
Yeah,
which is weird because obviously you're around other people and things like that. But for me, on my situation, it's like, I don't know if I'm taking my wife and 4 kids to go and live there
in a resort. Yeah,
like what are they going to do for school and stuff? Is it homeschooling? Is it? Yeah. And I still have like a few concerns around, because I sit on the RLPA board and I'm across a lot of the information. My concerns around security, health care, medical. If someone gets injured, it's like, how do I get? Am I going to get scanned? What about if I need surgery? Do I come back to Australia? Like I mentioned, schooling for children and things like that. So, look, I'm sure it's all going to play out. It's just obviously something like this has never happened before. So it is interesting to see, how they sort of do it, in my opinion.
Yep, agreed. What will you miss most about playing football?
What will I miss most about playing football? I will definitely miss the feeling of sitting in the sheds after a win and just laughing and just talking smack and talking about the game and, you know, because you put so much bloody effort and you sacrifice so much when you play. I just think that feeling of, you know, satisfaction and winning is like, and when you're on the field and like, I don't know, there's 10 minutes to go and you're scoring and you're celebrating and you know you're going to win, like that's fun as well. I'll miss that. I'll miss the camaraderie in the sheds. You know, it's like, I always just sort of liken it when you go to training. It's like similar when you go to school. You know, when you go to school and all your mates are there and, you know, you're hanging out at lunchtime, you're talking a bit of smack and whatever. That's what being in a professional team, it's similar. You go to training, you train your backside off. It's hard, but then when it's over, like it's hard at the time. When it's over, you just like laugh about it. It's like, because it brings you together. You go through hard things together. It just brings you together. So I think then you have a bit of a break at training. You go for a coffee or some lunch, and you're hanging out with your mates, and then on your day off, you know, you're able to go and just sort of play golf or go out for lunch or whatever. I feel like I'll miss the lifestyle of that, and even like now that we come into the office and we do the podcast, and it's like we're recording, and then because every day you go to training. You train, you know, your lunch is provided there. I've never had to sort of take lunch, really. I took it when I was younger when the teams didn't do lunches. But now it's like you go to training, your lunch is there, you can get a coffee there. Everything's kind of on tap for you there, you know what I mean? Where now it's like I come into the podcast to the office, I'm like, all right, well, I've recorded now. I got to go and get lunch now. Like, what am I going to do? So I kind of need to remind myself that, hey, I need to be a little bit more organised with like lunch, and obviously – the thing is as well, I miss, is like you actually get paid to train. So you get paid to work out, right? Like that is great. Yeah. Where now I have to fit in my workouts around everything, like work and everything else that I've got happening. So it's like this morning I didn't train. I got up and watched the NFL, but then if I don't train the rest of the day, it's like I won't train today. Where like, you know, when you play NRL, you wake up, you literally go and you may have to sit in a couple of meetings, but then you go and you may do gym, you may do some movement, you may get on the field, and you get paid to do that. How good's that?
And then now, what's your weekend fitness schedule looking like these days?
My weekly fitness schedule.
What are you focusing on in?
That's a great question, because we've got a vlog coming out, I think this week or next week, around some of my focuses on what I'm doing, trying to get my body back in order. So, you know, I was lucky enough over the course of my career, I never had any major injuries, touch wood. Like I never had any major surgeries. I had a very minor surgery on my wrist about 12 months ago. I've had wear and tear in my shoulders and my neck. I've got a little bit of stiffness, and range of motion's a little bit tough, I guess, because, you know, as footy players, you kind of, like we do so much weights, you know what I mean, to just kind of protect ourselves. So obviously that limits your range of motion. So I kind of want to work on, for me, it's like mobility, flexibility. Obviously I love golf, so I want to be a bit more mobile for my golf game, hanging out with my kids in the backyard. So for me, it's going to be running. I'll go for a couple runs. Friday mornings, I usually do 10K at 4:30 in the morning with my mates. I'll probably run 3 times a week. I'll lift weights either twice or 3 times a week. So I still want to be very active, because to me, I think having the discipline to train transfers over to your professional life. To me, I've always seen someone who's very fit or healthy. I think that translates over to success in life and your career. So I don't want to necessarily, I do eat whatever I want to an extent. You know, on the weekends, I'd sort of just have a few cheat meals, but I don't really take the piss throughout the week. I try and sort of dial in the diet a little bit. And, you know, you see players who blow out because they've just sacrificed so much. They want to just rest, eat whatever they want, drink alcohol whenever they want. So I fully feel that. I get that. I understand that now. But it's like you can still try and do that to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Next up, how do I become a better ball-playing middle forward?
Better ball-playing middle forward. Well, that is just all-out practice. You can definitely improve your ball-playing skills with practice 100%. So catching and passing. You do kind of the similar stuff that all the halfbacks do. So for me, I would watch a couple of ball playing middles. I would watch their highlights, either on YouTube or on the TV or whatever it is. I would watch them, and then I would go and start to practice. You might need 2 people, you know what I mean, or one person, a partner, just to sort of catch you, help you throw the ball. So I might be like catching and passing, and all different feet as well. So catching and passing on the right foot, catching and passing on the left foot, catching and passing both ways, and whether it's flat passing or passes to someone who's like, you know, they call it out the back on a 45-degree angle out the back. So I think it's just repetition. It's repetition. It's coming up with a routine for you on your passing routine, and then doing it like 3-4 times a week. It might take you 10 minutes. You might come up with a couple of drills 3 or 4 times a week, and then just stay consistent and just work on it. So I hope that helps.
Love it. How much of a difference is New South Wales / Queensland Cup to first grade?
Yeah, it's it's massive. It is. They don't really compare, to be honest. Like, I mean, obviously NRL, like, you know, there's so much more on the line. There's so much more pressure. You're on TV every single week. The crowds, obviously, everyone's around it. So I think it is the speed of the game, the athleticism. It is 100% the fastest game on the planet. New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup, you know, they're a little bit less paced. The crowds aren't there. The pressure's not there, you know. And like for me, when I played this year, it was just fun for me, you know what I mean? Where for younger guys, it is they put a bit more pressure on themselves because they're coming up, you know what I mean? So there is a lot of differences for sure.
What was the best team you've ever played for?
Best team I ever played for, 100%, 2016 Sharks, 15 games in a row we won. Same team sheet every single week. Camaraderie and mateship and connection off the field. We were good mates off the field. We trusted each other on the field. We had a good time away from the field. As well, I'd say, you know, the 2022 Cowboys as well. That was another one of the, you know, my well-connected good years as a team. And I think actually 2018 Sharks was another good one as well. So look, I think on the basis of like teams, everything comes down to like your connection and your mateship and how you get along in and around the sheds, off the field, how much time you hang out with, how much trust you have in each other, how much care you have for your teammates. Because, you know, there's guys that you come in and you hang out with a lot, some you don't hang out with a lot, you know what I mean? It's more about that relationship. So, you know, when you can actually genuinely become good mates with someone, like that means so much in the world of like, you know, an NRL team.
Yeah, nice. Where does Tarpanay rank among forwards in the game right now?
Tarpanay's top 5 front rowers in the game, I think. Yeah. In my opinion, I think top 5.
Wouldn't put him top 3.
Top 3, I mean, top 3 is I mean, we could debate that for sure.
Probably.
I would just went top 5 because I think he sits in that top 5. I mean,
definitely for top 5.
Definitely top 5, you know what I mean? Obviously, some other notable ones. Obviously, I mean, Payne Haas is one in there, you know what I mean? Tino as well. Aden. Yeah, like there's, you know what I mean?
That's a tough list.
That's
now.
a debate, you know what I mean? We can have that debate at another time. I'm comfortable with top 5 at the minute.
Yeah.
But I mean, top 3, we'd have to probably we need probably another 10 minutes on the pod to go over it. You know, with some stats and some details around exactly what's happening.
Let's say he isn't top 3.
Yeah.
What do you think he needs to improve on to get to top 3? What would you say like a small weakness of his game is?
I think, I don't know. I mean, how do I explain? I don't know if he has a weakness. I mean, maybe some defense. You know, I've seen him miss a couple of tackles, maybe under fatigue. I mean, he plays big minutes. You know what I mean? I mean, most of them do play big minutes. So, yeah.
What's your opinion on Jonah Pezzett and where might he end up?
Yeah, look, I think Jonah Pezzett, he's obviously a lot talked about him at the moment. I think it's going to be a really, really big call for Jonah Pezzett on where he goes. And I think it's you know, I think he should go to Parramatta, to be honest. I think a combination of him and Mitch Moses would be great. But obviously, Mitch plays a lot on that right side of the field. So what, does Pezza comfortable with playing on the left? And obviously he will have to play, second fiddle to Mitch for a few years. With Mitch is the main guy there. He gets all the touches. He does most of the kicking. He's the captain of the team. And if he is okay with that, or he kind of wants to, be the guy. If you want to be the guy, you kind of have to go to a lower ranked team. You know what I mean? Where Parramatta are definitely on the rise. Look, you hear some of the teams he's been connected with, whether it's Raiders, whether it's Broncos, Cowboys, he gets a lot of media coverage around it, obviously, with a manager that's in the media talking about it all the time.
It's a good marketer, right?
But yeah, look, I'm excited to see where he goes because I think it's time for him to move on from the Storm. I think he's a great young player, and I think he's got the whole package. I think the thing I loved about him this year was just the confidence, and he went after a lot of games, and he just especially even with his kicking. Kicking confidently is a great sign of a young halfback, and I thought he had that in spade as well. So, look, I think he goes to Parramatta, but I mean, we'll see. There may be a surprise sort of party that comes up.
I'm interested. How do you feel about like agents and club CEOs being able to be part of the NRL media? Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I think personally, would I want my agent talking about my contract, in the media or on a podcast every week? Probably not. But I mean, I think it's okay. Like I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Obviously Phil Gould's done it for a long time for a couple of different clubs. You know what I mean? Still does his commentary, but obviously he's aligned with certain teams now. He's with the Bulldogs. You know what I mean? Obviously, Braithen Nass is a player manager, does NRL 360, does other things as well. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. But it's more like if I'm a player and I'm getting spoken about a lot, you know what I mean? I think clubs could potentially, they wouldn't like that. I don't think clubs want to kind of operate in the background a little bit more. They don't necessarily want everything out there. So that's where I sort of feel the situation may be a little bit dicey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
What do NRL coaches / scouts look for?
Well, this is a great question because it's not always like the kid at the junior carnival that goes and scores all these tries. And obviously, yeah, that's great. But sometimes it's more about their character. And are they a good teammate? Are they high-fiving teammates? Are they celebrating other people's tries? Are they okay with coming off the field, going on, having a break? Do they work hard? What's their effort like away from the ball? Are they supporting, when they don't have the ball? Are they chasing back on line breaks when the other team makes a line break? So all that stuff sort of comes into it. It's not just the kid who you get this kid and he's got lightning speed and, that kid might be the best player in the field, athletically great, probably gets the contract offer as well or gets signed by a team. But I don't know about his work ethic. I don't know if he works hard. I don't know what his actual attitude is like. So those other areas I just spoke about, they're really key to sort of seeing who that person is as a person. Because if that player, if he does work hard, you know what I mean, he does all the little things away from the ball, generally that sort of transfers over that, hey, he's a good kid. Hard workers and guys who do the things that aren't seen by a lot of people, they're the people who you can sort of, you can bring into a system or a junior system or an academy or whatever it is and give them the tools and tricks to work hard and then, build their skill set into making it one day. Yep.
Do you see yourself coaching younger rep teams or even club footy while in retirement?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. At some stage, coaching is going to be a big part of, I wouldn't say big part, sorry. I'd say a little part, or a part. Let's just say a part. I'm very interested in coaching. Finding the right balance for me and my family and obviously work as well is going to be key for me. I want to live a lifestyle that I enjoy now. But yeah, coaching at some stage, is of big interest to me, and I obviously love my media, love the podcast and content as well. So I've always said I wanted to do a couple of things, TV and radio, my podcast, and a little bit of coaching here and there. That to me is a good balance for me, where I've got my fix of everything. I'm in, here, I'm in there. Then I can go and fill gaps where I need to be. I can get a game of golf in every week. I can go and watch my kids play sports on the weekend. I can go play a whole range of things. So we'll see.
Love it. Can you chat about what investments you made during your career and how that will set you up post-retirement?
I can. Yes. So me planning for retirement was always retirement was a pretty big mark in my life. So I was very heavily, still am, heavily invested into property. Property was like my thing. I bought my first property when I was 20 in Cronulla, and I will broadly speak about it because I don't want to get into too much detail, obviously, about my own sort of financial situation or financial advice, because if you want advice, you need to go and see a trusted planner. But look, I had, at one stage, I had six houses. I don't have 6 anymore. I've sold a couple off, and I've sort of moved around some debt and things like that. But ultimately, my goal was to get to the end of rugby league and have my own house, I will, with debt as low as possible, and a couple of investment properties to hold on to. So playing the long game, I've always been like very long game. I want to play a long game. But then obviously if you're able to have a house with, little to no debt, your expenses become a lot lower, because 80% of your expenses are either rent or mortgage. So if you can eliminate that, and obviously as an NRL player, like you basically get a head start because of the money you're able to earn over 10 to 15 year career. But obviously I've seen guys who've played over 10 years who have nothing, and who've played rep footy and just haven't invested their money, spent all their money gambling, whatever it is. Like it's terrible. You see guys on both sides of the spectrum, haven't done well with their money, done well with their money, don't have to work another day in their life. Like that's the very top, you know what I mean? So it does vary. It is very broad, but I think for me, I've had great advice. I've had a financial planner my whole career. I've had an accountant my whole career, who have helped me with things like investments, superannuation, tax minimization, property, where do I buy a property, who am I trusting, savings, shares. I've had a holistic approach, and that side of my life has been separate to my footy agent. My footy agent just negotiates me my NRL contracts and a little bit of, other brand deals and things like that. Well, the other side is just like a team I've assembled of people that I trust, and we've played a long-term game, debt minimization, set up the future, live a lifestyle now that is comfortable. My family's expenses are covered. I can go on a couple holidays every year. I can do what I want to do. I'm not stressed. I've planned. I'm ready to go. Let's do this. That's where I'm at.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So I'm excited, man. I am bloody excited for the future. Yeah. So that's it. I hope that helps. I feel like I could talk about that on a full episode by itself.
Could do a financial podcast.
You know what? I might do a full one on like how advice for younger players on how to set up your life. Broadly, generally speaking, you know what I mean? It's not like actual advice. This is go and do this, because I want you to go and sort of see a financial planner, because they're the people you need to trust. But my advice and thing would be like a generic overview of a bit of what I've done and what I would kind of put out there. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Done.
Sweet. All right. Thank you, Victor. And thank you everyone for watching today. If you do enjoy the podcast, please make sure you do subscribe here on the channel. We're so close to 50K subscribers, and we've got some really cool content coming out for you guys over the next week. We've got an interview. We've got Marty Tapau interview coming as well. We've got a vlog coming as well. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop us a comment. I really do appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Let's go.